YouTube. I'm waiting on Facebook to get live as well. And we will get going with family devotions for today. Doesn't look like it is yet. Hope you're all doing well. If you're watching through YouTube right now, thanks for being here. There we are. We're live on both now. So it is good to be with you all again today. And kind of a gloomy kind of day, right? I remember last Tuesday was like pushing 80 degrees, and Ethan and I were out fishing and just having a good time doing that, and haven't too many days that have been great since then. I guess Saturday and Sunday were pretty good, but anyway, so here we are tonight, and we're going to do our family devotion time, and we're still using the YouVersion Bible app. And again, there's a video on both YouTube and Facebook to help you find out, if you do not have YouVersion, how you can get the app on your smartphone or tablet. And you can also go to www.bible.com and create an account. And from there, you can log in. And we are doing the under where it says plans, we're doing Oswald Chambers' Hope. And so this is kind of where we're at. And so I read yesterday the devotional, and it was really good. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this one. So this one's a little bit of a work in progress, I suppose, and how we want to do this. And so I thought that tonight, instead of just going ahead and reading for you what the devotion says, I'm going to trust your ability to do that. I want to talk just for a moment about the scripture that goes with it, and it's from Psalm 27. And it says, "Yet I am confident I will see the Lord's goodness while I am here in the land of the living. Wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord." Now, that's a pretty powerful passage right there. And that the promise is that we'll see the goodness of the Lord while we're here, and what that might look like. And right now, I think we would really enjoy seeing some of that goodness, right? And the thing is that we tend to define goodness maybe in ways that God might not necessarily always define goodness. We remember that it says in James that every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of the heavenly lights. So in other words, if it's good, then it's from God. And so we want to be able to recognize that and give God praise as we need to. But there's the waiting. The verse goes on and says, we wait patiently. How's that going right now? How's the patient waiting going in the midst of a pandemic? How's the patient waiting in the midst of trying to figure out what's next for life? I gotta tell you, it's a struggle for me in trying to figure this out, and what to do, and how will church look going forward as a pastor, and not just simply going back to the way things were, but recognizing that maybe there are things that we can or should be doing that are different, because this has taught us that we can do things different. And if so, what are they? And working those things out and seeking God and what He wants for us. And the questions for today are this. The first one is my hope strong enough to wait on God, or must I always jump into, quote, help Him? How many times do we want to help God? How many times we were like, God really could, let me take over it here, and you just kind of chill out over there. I mean, how many times do we kind of do that? We jump in and we think we know better than God, and we want to help God out. And the second question: do I have a hope in God to not do anything, even though it seems as if something must be done? Now, what's interesting is, and I've said this before, that word "wait" is often in the Old Testament actually the same word that we get hope, because hope is something that is still yet to come. It hasn't happened yet, and what you do in the midst of hope, you have to wait. Really, they go together, and oftentimes what we do is we wait impatiently. And so just to wait patiently in itself is an aspect of hope. And so I want to just encourage you, and then it finishes off. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. I love that. God just tells us, be, in the midst of the waiting, be brave, courageous. In other words, while you're looking to see what God is going to do in the midst of whatever. And again, listen, I listened to a podcast today, and the speaker made the comment. He says, when this pandemic is over, much of our lives are going to be in many. They're willing to let God do a work in us. Our marriages will be what they were. Our the way we handle stresses and pressures will be as they were before, unless we let God do a work in us. The finances may be even worse than what they were before. So this idea that everything will go back to normal is great, except if the normal that we are going back to is not a normal we want to go back to, if that makes sense. And so in the waiting patiently, that being brave and being courageous, and to realize that God is more than able and can do exceedingly abundantly above all we could ever ask or imagine. So I hope you have an incredible evening again tonight. I love you, need you, miss you, and we will hopefully talk again tomorrow. And love again. Comment, read it, read the devotion. That's what I want you to do. Read the devotion and the scripture that's there with it. And I'd love for you to comment, to share. Is there an area that you are specifically right now, as the devotion asks, that you are maybe trying to help God? Has there been something in the past where you admit you've been trying to help God, and you realize that you've only been hurting your own situation? And do you have enough hope in God to not do anything, even though it seems as if something must be done? In other words, are you wanting to jump in when instead of waiting on God to do what God needs to do? So again, love you, need you, and we will talk tomorrow. So my daughter just said you're dismissed. Bye, church.